Greenwood, Greenwood, Greenwood. Welcome back to your home away from home for sports. My name is Jonathan Graves and I'm sports editor for GreenwoodTodaySports.com, and I am happy to be joined in studio this morning by the women's basketball coach for Lander, Kevin Pederson. Kevin, how you doing today?
Good, thanks, Jonathan. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. We're here to talk to you a little bit today about the women's basketball team, and we're also going to mix in a little bit of Kevin's personal life. But he's officially on the hot seat as of this moment. Kevin, starting out, let's start out with the basics, give people a little bit of a feel for you. Just talk to me a little bit about your background.
Okay, well, I grew up in Fairfax, Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C., and was a big ACC basketball fan growing up, and came down to Clemson University when I was just getting out of high school, and wanted to be involved with basketball. Was had some outside hopes of being a walk-on when I got to college, and soon realized that my skills weren't quite at the ACC level, and was fortunate to become a manager at Clemson with Rick Barnes and Larry Scheid. Was there for 5 years, and then had my first coaching job as a volunteer at Anderson College. Worked with the men there for 3 years before taking the women's job kind of in the middle of the year. It was an interesting situation where the women's coach was forced to resign, and they came and offered me the job, and we took it, had some success. Had not really seen myself coaching women at that time, and I guess I was one of those cliche, oh, it's men's basketball. And went into women, really enjoyed it, kind of found my niche, had some success, and was very fortunate. Jeff May came calling and offered me the Lander job a few years later after we had a nice run there. And now we've been fortunate. We've had a good run here at Lander, won the league the last 2 years, and won 4 championships in the last 6 years. And have a family. My wife, Adair's a school teacher here at an elementary school. Okay. And 2 children. Connor is 7, and my daughter, Claire, is 5. So that's pretty much ABCs of me.
I got to ask you, coming off the successful run with Anderson College, I'm just going to go through a couple of your stats. You were 88-31 for an overall record. Get this, folks. He had a 33-3 record in his last season with the women's basketball coach at Anderson. You took him to a Sweet 16 berth in the NCAA Division II women's basketball tournament. You were voted the Carolina-Virginia Athletic Conference Coach of the Year that year. I got to ask you, with all that success with the Anderson program, what the heck are you doing in Greenwood? Why did you want to come to Lander?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's Anderson was great, but it was one of those stepping stone jobs where we had really done about as much as we were going to do at Anderson, and I had a great run. It was a lot of fun. We've won a lot of games. The 33-3 year you mentioned, I think we'd won 23 games in a row, and I also got to the point. Russ Gregg, my assistant, has been with me for a while. We would get on the bus after game, and we just won by 20 points. We're sitting there, and it just, it got to the point. The Carolinas Conference is one of the lowest conferences in the country. And you've got some great coaches in the league, but you don't have the facilities, you don't have the resources. Right. And, it got to the point we'd won 20 conference games in a row, had that streak intact when we left. And it just was not, we were looking for more of a challenge. And Jeff May called up and just said everything I wanted to hear. He said, we want you here. We want to win above all else. Of course, we want to do it the right way, and we're not going to cut corners. But we're going to give you the resources you need where you can compete on a higher level. The Peach Belt is one of the top conferences in the country. Right. You've had just a plethora of national championships come out of the Peach Belt, and the Peach Belt's always been a league we looked at. And I think that was as big of a draw as anything, where you're going to compete against great schools night in, night out. You're going to play in great arenas, and it was really the challenge as much as anything.
That challenge in the first season, it started. He started off a 5-22 record. I don't want to bring it up. Had to bring it up.
Forget about it.
You're on the hot seat. Got to bring it up. It's 5-22 record. Just talk to me a little bit about some of those challenges in the first season, and if you ever had any doubts of maybe going back to that Anderson College where you left.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think it was tough when we first left Anderson because we left our team basically intact. You had LaShonda Childs, Deidre Langston, Stephanie Pons. You had a team that. You had everyone come back, they were going to be juniors. And there was no reason to believe we could not continue the way we were going and win 30 games again. But so we get here, we're excited about the challenge, and as soon as the honeymoon wears off, the excitement, the new arena, everything, all of a sudden you sit down, now you're really diving into the team yet. Yeah. And you're looking around, and we had about 4 or 5 scholarship players at the time. Previous coach had done a good job, and he's a great guy, but on the way out, he had signed 3 players. All 3 were academically ineligible. They did not have their test scores. So we essentially had no recruiting class when we got in.
Right.
We had just signed 4 players at Anderson, so of course they were going to stay there. So you're coming in, and basically recruiting was a wash that year. And we're taking a team, we had no starters returning. We did not have a player in the roster who had ever played point guard before. And so, and this is in late June, and you're faced with the decision, okay, well, do we go for the quick fix, and do we go get junior college players, which is not what we typically do, or do we just take our lumps this year and build it the way we want to get it done?
Right.
And so we chose to take our lumps, and we go in, and it was not pretty. We were 4-3 non-conference. We're feeling good. We're thinking, well, maybe we can turn this thing around a little bit. But then we get into Peachville, like I said, which is such a terrific conference, and we go 1-19 in the league. And the one game we won was on a last-second 3, and you would have thought we won the national championship. You know, we were running around the court. But it was a challenge. I learned a lot about myself, and I think we were very fortunate to have our success at Anderson to fall back on. At no point did we ever say, well, we want to go back to Anderson. I think there were a lot of points we said, whoa, I wish we had that team we had at Anderson. But having that success, when you go through a year like that, when you just keep losing and losing, it makes a big difference knowing you had been successful.
Right.
And we truly believe, like, well, if we stick to our formula, if we go recruit the players we believe can help us, we're going to get out of this.
Right.
And fortunately, that was the case.
The great thing I like about all your teams, looking back at all of them, you always seem to improve each season. And talk to me a little bit about that with Blander. I mean, you won't go from 5-22 to 15-13 the next season, and then on to 23 wins and a lot more success.
You've done your homework. I'm impressed. And that's something we had talked about a lot. You know, this is the first year our team actually did not increase our win totals in my 8 years as head coach. Because at Anderson we went from 13-9 to 17-12 to 25-7 to 33-3, and then Lander from 5-22 to 15-12 to 23-12, and then this year we were 20-11. The winning percentage was close, but didn't increase the win total, and I think it has a lot to do with how we built things. You know, like I said, Russ, Gregg, and myself, we really believe on getting kids from the area. We really don't have, we have one player on our team outside of a 4-hour radius from campus.
That's great.
And a lot of South Carolina kids, a lot of Georgia kids.
Yep.
And we believe there's a talent in the area. There's plenty of talent. We've got great schools, great talent in this area to win with what we need. And so we believe if you go find those kids, and we want them for 4 years, not just 1 or 2 years, and you develop. And every year those kids get better. And as they're progressing towards their degree, they're becoming better basketball players, and that's helping our program.
We're living in the present, so let's talk about last season. I think it was a big year. You come into the season, you have nothing but freshmen and sophomores. When you started the season, did you ever think you could be so successful?
No. we were just hoping, like I said, when I took the job, the one thing I promised Coach May is I said, I'm going to get your team that gets consecutive 21 seasons. That's what we're going to bring you. And so we had our first 21 season last year, and then I'm looking, we graduated our top 3 players and lost 4 of our top 5 scorers. And I'm looking around, it's like, well, we brought in a talented class. We thought we had good talent, but the question is, how good can we be? And like I said, playing this conference, there's no game you look at and say, we're going to win that game. There just wasn't one of them on the schedule.
Right.
And so the goal coming year was, well, let's try and finish in the top 4 of the league. If we can do that, it's going to be a great year, and with everyone coming back, because we have no seniors this year, we have no seniors next year, so there was a lot to be optimistic about. And so coming year, we kind of got better. We lost a few games early, but it was a lot had to do with we were trying to teach them the right way. Man-to-man principles, we're trying not to throw too much out at them early, and by bringing them along, it cost us in some early games. But as the year got on, by doing it the right way, I think it helped us down the stretch to make that run to win the league again.